The sky above Terra Nova shimmered with the soft hue of two suns, casting golden reflections across the biodome's curved glass. Inside, children laughed, human and alien alike, playing among hovering drones that scattered colored light across flowered paths. Admiral Elara Miles stood on a balcony above the garden, arms crossed, watching her daughter. Amara was 10. Her laughter always came in bursts, bright and unguarded. Today, she ran alongside a Zayth child, her copper braid trailing behind like a comet's tail. She wore a scarf around her wrist, the one Elara had given her on her 8th birthday. It used to belong to Elara's late sister. She never thought she'd see it on someone else. Yet here it was, fluttering with every sprint, alive with movement. Elara let herself smile. Behind her, Commander Rios stepped into view. "There's chatter from Varn space," he said quietly. "Dominion vessels in transit near the outer rim. Not close, but not routine either." "They filed flight paths?" she asked, eyes still on Amara. "Of course not. Council notice?" "None." Elara exhaled slowly. Her smile thinned. "We warned them this would happen," she said. "They're testing boundaries again." Rio hesitated. "It's not just posturing. A policy amendment went through the council this morning." Quietly. "Varn proposal. Passed by technical majority." "What kind of amendment?" "They're reclassifying refugee minors. Those without proper biological lineage records are excluded from emergency protections." Elara turned then sharply. "She's registered under Earth's Family Integration Clause. She's a citizen." "Yes. But the clause is being contested. On Terra Nova, the ruling's ambiguous. Amara's status is no longer recognized outside Sol." Silence pressed between them. Elara's jaw tightened. She tapped her wrist calm. "Send full shields to civilian sectors. No delays. I don't care if it violates proximity treaties. Lock down the biodomes, now." "Yes, ma'am." It began just an hour later. The Varn ships didn't fly Earth flags. No crest, no beacon, no protocol. Just sleek, insectal hulls built for stealth and speed, diving past planetary customs and punching through the thin orbital defenses like a blade through silk. They moved with ruthless precision, bypassing military zones and heading straight for the eastern quadrant. The biodome. Elara's transport bucked violently as it burned atmosphere. Fire coiled across the dome's surface below. Smoke billowed through cracks in the glass. Drones lay scattered, bodies motionless across garden paths. Security footage flickered with interference. Her boots hit the grass seconds later. The silence struck first. No laughter. No motion. Just heat, smoke, and the metallic stench of plasma. She ran. Past broken benches, past crumpled children, past the hollowed-out husk of a Varn drop pod still steaming with recent descent. Her comm pinged with calls, but she silenced them. One name tore through her head like a drumbeat: Amara, Amara, Amara. She found her beneath the scarred trunk of a flowering tree, half buried in debris. A small arm stretched outward, still clutching the scarf. Her eyes were closed. Elara dropped to her knees. The explosion had been clean. Direct hit. She must have shielded the other child, the Zayth one. He was curled nearby, trembling, alive. Elara pulled Amara into her arms. Her chest was still warm. The scarf was soaked. She pressed her hand against her daughter's back, as if she could press her soul back into place. But the body didn't move. "Ma'am," Rio's voice broke through the static. "Council dispatch just came through. They're issuing condolences. And requesting de-escalation." Elara didn't look up. Her eyes were locked on the stillness of Amara's face, the fragile eyelashes, the dirt on her cheek. The scarf slipped from her fingers. "They let this happen," she said. Quiet. Even. They watched her die. "There's more," Rio added. "Intercepted Varn chatter. This was no rogue op. They ordered the raid. Council oversight was blocked intentionally." Elara finally stood. Her expression had changed. No rage. No grief now. Just clarity, sharpened by loss and honed into something metallic. Seal the dome. Prepare full data capture for War Crimes Archive, she ordered. Send all non-Earth personnel to evacuation shelters. Rio blinked. Ma'am? Effective immediately, Earth is suspending all participation in Council operations. Recall our diplomats. Freeze access to our borders. He hesitated. You're invoking the Soul Accord? I'm invoking the final clause. Rio's breath caught. That hasn't been used in centuries. I know. She looked down at Amara one last time. That's how long we've given them mercy. She turned toward the waiting gunship. The fires still glowed behind her. Begin the awakening protocol. Far beneath Europa's frozen crust, miles below the surface ice, the signal reached an ancient relay, one forgotten even by most Terrans. Gears turned. Black alloy hulls, coated in frost and silence, began to glow from within. One by one, titanic ships the size of cities stirred from their crypts. In the void beyond Neptune, red eyes opened on dormant dreadnoughts. Earth had been quiet for too long. Now its past would speak for. A storm churned beneath Europa's surface, not of wind or weather, but of light and long-buried purpose. Vast catacombs of steel and silence flickered awake for the first time in 400 years. Between layers of ancient ice, the old guard stirred. The dreadnought Nemesis, a city-sized predator with orbital-grade shielding and adaptive weapon matrices, pulsed with faint red glow from its bridge. Somewhere deep in its core, a command string whispered through its sentient shell. Primary directive override, reason, justice demanded. Above, in orbit, Admiral Elara Miles stood at the central command console of Station Blackridge, Earth's most classified orbital platform. Blackridge didn't exist on any registry. Its own crew hadn't walked on Earth in decades. Below her, hollow diagrams of the old guard fleet hovered midair: Nemesis, Vigilant, Ghost of Soul, Bastion, Silencer, Arc, each marked with its original war designation, each one built for a kind of war the galaxy hadn't seen since the early Sol expansion. Fleet Command confirms Neurobootop has reached Phase 3, reported Commander Rio, eyes flicking over cascading data feeds. All ship AIs online. No errors. No resistance. Elara stared at the fleet schematic. And their cognitive filters? Still locked under Article 7. They retain ethical constraints, for now. Her gaze remained cold. Good. I want the galaxy to see our fists without fearing we've lost our mind. A pause. Then, unless we have to. Far across the stars, in the marble halls of Virelion Prime, the Intergalactic Council was unraveling. 1,000 species had once gathered here to build something greater than empires, cooperation across biology, belief, time. But the room now smelled of tension and fear. The death of a single human child had shaken its core. Unconfirmed military activity detected in Sol System, barked the delegate from Threx. Long-range pulses. EM scatter matching, pre-unification Earth designs. Explain this. Chancellor Rithvok of the Varn Dominion, seated atop his crystalline dais, adjusted his mantle with measured disdain. Earth is provoking a response. As predicted. They lack the discipline for diplomacy. Their emotions run unchecked. But your Dominion ordered the raid, countered the colonist speaker. They killed a child. The Terrans responded. You lit the match, Chancellor. Rithvok's mandibles flared briefly. Collateral in a volatile sector. Their fault for placing hybrid spawn in contested zones. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Across the galaxy, that one word, spawn, sparked outrage. In moments, 9 neutral factions suspended trade with Varn. Protests began across 3 rim worlds. Earth hadn't fired a shot, and already, the balance shifted. Back in Sol, Elara stood before a private viewing screen in her quarters, eyes locked on a single hollow recording. Amara's last birthday. A cake, lopsided and too bright, blinked with stuttering candles. The child beamed. Make a wish! Someone shouted. Amara looked at Elara through the recording and said, You first. Elara paused the feed. Has Nemesis reached orbit over Earth? She asked. Rio's voice answered through comms. Yes, ma'am. Fully cloaked. Civilians unaware. The others are forming perimeter outside Mars orbit. And council channels? They're in full panic mode. Several races want dialogue. Others want to de-escalate tensions. Her laugh was hollow. The ones who let children die always want to talk after the fire starts. Some are breaking ranks. The Colonna want Earth to mediate. They're proposing a tribunal. We're not here to play judge, Alara said, stepping into the war room. We're here to remind them we're not prey. 2 days later, a Varn stealth vessel breached Sol's outer system, a foolish move. They were hunting data, hoping to confirm the rumors. What they found was Ghost of Sol, a ship once dubbed the Oracle Killer, waiting cold and still in the black. The Varn initiated a scan. In response, the dreadnought lit up every frequency the Varn had access to, flooding them with encrypted Terran symbology. Then it erased the scout ship from existence. No explosion, no wreckage, just silence. An encoded message was left in its place. You came looking for proof. This is your warning. The Council's emergency session spiraled into chaos. Rithvok slammed his staff against the floor. They're destabilizing the quadrant. The Threx delegate hissed. Your government murdered a child. You dared the Terrans to answer. You did not expect them to bring ghosts. The Zoyari, typically silent, broke rank. They haven't declared war. They haven't attacked a single civilian. They gave us time. They gave us law. Now they demand justice. The room fractured. 12 species demanded Rithvok step down. The Varn refused. Earth's silence, its precision, terrified them more than any battle cry. Back aboard Blackridge, Alara stood before the assembled captains, some human, some AI, all awakened from decades of slumber. One by one, they swore loyalty, not to Earth's government, but to Alara's directive, justice without conquest. Power without cruelty. Memory without erasure. We will not break laws, she said. We are the law they tried to ignore. And if they resist justice? Asked Vigilance AI, voice like grinding iron. Then let them feel what they've buried. She turned to the stars. Prepare our fleet to move. The old guard arrived above Varn Prime in total silence. 12 dreadnoughts materialized from folded space, arrayed in a perfect arc that eclipsed the planet's northern hemisphere. No sound. No warnings. Just sudden presence, the arrival of judgment. Down on the surface, sensors failed. Grids collapsed. Satellites shorted out. Civilian feeds turned to static, then to a single message. This is Earth. We are here for one. Only one. Inside the Varn capital, High Chancellor Rithvok stood before his command table, rigid, his hands trembling beneath his ceremonial cloak. Scramble orbital defenses, he barked. The defense minister shook his head, pale beneath his ridged brow. They're already inside the grid. All systems unresponsive. It's like the ships are speaking to our networks, telling them to shut down. Override the core AI. We can't. Our firewalls, they're obeying them. On the wall, the live feed showed Earth's fleet hovering like iron gods above the skyline, unmoving, but omnipotent. A new voice broke through comms, cutting across every channel, in every language. Admiral Alara Miles. Her image flickered onto every surface, every screen, every public broadcast. She stood in her fleet command bay, expression neutral, posture unflinching. I am not here to destroy your world, she said. I am not here to punish your people. I am here for one life. The one who ordered a child's death. Bring me Rithvok, alive, and no harm will come to Varn Prime. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. You have 1 hour. On the ground, chaos erupted. But not from Earth. From the people of Varn. Their citizens had seen the footage. The tribunal leaks. The death of a child. The arrogance of their chancellor. And now, the unthinkable, Earth's fleet had come, and not one weapon had fired. It wasn't conquest. It was precision. It was justice. Crowds filled the streets. Not in panic, but in fury. They marched to the palace. Soldiers lowered weapons. Some joined them. In the control bunker, Rithvak turned to his staff. You will hold this line. You will remember who you serve. But they didn't move. The youngest officer stepped forward. We serve the people. Not the shadows you cast. And then the doors burst open. They took him without resistance. An hour later, a single Varn shuttle rose from the capital. It passed through Earth's blockade without interference, guided by a corridor of dreadnoughts that turned slightly, opening a path like sentinels acknowledging penance. Rithvak sat bound, silent, in a containment chair. His eyes never met the screen, never looked at the woman whose child he had condemned. He was delivered to Nemesis, Earth's flagship. No public trial. No speeches. Just a tribunal, streamed across systems, chaired by 3 human magistrates, and 2 delegates from alien nations Earth had once protected during the Fringe Wars. The evidence was undeniable. Wire transfers. Secret orders. The legal clause weaponized to revoke protections from refugee children. The false reports. The obstruction of the rescue attempt. In less than 3 days he was sentenced. Not to death. To sole exile, permanent confinement on Titan, monitored by Terran AI, forbidden contact with any species. A living monument to the consequence of betrayal cloaked in law. The council fell within the month. Not in fire, not in revolution. It simply withered. Enough races withdrew that its quorum shattered. And in its place, a new structure rose, the Interstellar Accord. A smaller, leaner, ethics-bound coalition with rotating leadership and universal child protection laws, founded on the very principles Earth had been mocked for once defending. Admiral Miles refused the chair. She nominated the Colonna ambassador instead, a quiet being known for never raising its voice but always being heard. Earth stepped back. But its presence no longer needed explanation. 6 weeks later, Elara stood alone on Mars, beneath the domed memorial garden above Ares' base. The wind was soft here, simulated, programmed, tamed. She knelt before a gravestone. It was small, understated. A single plaque. Amara Miles. Your light didn't go out. It became a beacon. She didn't speak. Just watched the rust-red horizon for a while, listening to the hush of leaves above her. After a moment, she opened a small box. Inside, a data chip, Amara's voice recordings. The silly ones. The ones she used to leave on Elara's wristcom when she was bored. Hi, Mom, it said, crackling faintly. Elara smiled. I saw a lizard today. It had 3 eyes. I named it Gregory. Can I keep it? I think it likes me. She shut the box gently and stood. Overhead, far above the Martian sky, Nemesis waited. Silent. Watching. Like a sword back in its sheath. Commander Rio's voice buzzed in. Admiral, delegation from the Accord is requesting a closed briefing. You want it routed? Elara walked slowly back toward the base. No. Let them wait.